So like I said, our mission is to support and enhance FISD, but what does that mean? So by support FISD, what we mean is looking at the really awesome things that our teachers are already doing and evaluating how can we as a foundation further those and make those the best that they can be. And then by enhance FISD, this is my favorite part.
Okay.
This is where we're looking at how do we bring in disruptive innovation? How do we transform learning in an entire lesson, an entire unit, or even an entire classroom?
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Because Adulting is Hard podcast. I'm Alita and this is Ashley Adair. Tell me your title because everybody knows I'm always bad at titles. Go ahead.
I'm the Executive Director of the Friendswood ISD Education Foundation.
Sweet, I'm so glad to have you on the podcast because I was telling her before we got started, education is my first life, my first career. So there's a lot of things that are unknown about the Education Foundation, and it's actually a really cool nonprofit that's affiliated with the school, but is not part of Friendswood ISD. So first, you got to tell me a little bit about you and how the heck did you end up here? Because I know you were actually sought out kind of a little bit for this position, encouraged to apply, and we're really glad to have you in this role. So tell me how you got here.
Well, first of all, I was essentially born and raised in Friendswood, as were my parents and younger brother, so we definitely bleed Mustang Blue in our family. But after graduating from Friendswood High School, went off to college at A&M and got a degree in marketing. Right after college, went to work for the American Heart Association in Houston, and then about a year and a half ago, was approached about this position with the foundation, and just really felt it aligned with my strengths and passions in some areas that I wanted to grow in. So prayed about it a lot, sought out a lot of advice from my mentors, and really just felt the Lord calling me to step into this role. And I cannot tell you how excited I am that I did, and just what a blessing it's been to be back.
And I think that Friendswood, we know everybody that listens to us is not from Friendswood, but I am. And so, I mean, what people don't know about Friendswood is it's exactly what you said. It is a teeny tiny community surrounded by very large other communities. And it actually encourages people to come back. I mean, teachers to come back and be in the city, like you get a guaranteed interview as a Friendswood graduate. And that very much education is the center of Friendswood as a city. And the ISD does so much for that. So let's talk about when I actually talked to you on the phone, you asked me a question. Well, what do you know about the Education Foundation? And I'm going to tell you my honest answer. My honest answer was, well, I know that there's an Adopt a Grant program because I've done that. I do some things for teachers. I mean, I've bought some equipment for choir teachers and stuff like that. There's some kind of clay pigeon shooting. And then there's some dinner thing that I don't ever know how to get tickets to. And it's sold out by the time I figure that out. So I know there's a whole lot of other components that go into it other than that. And you have a lot of vision for that. So I'm going to hand it over to you and let you just start telling us about those things.
Absolutely. So first, our mission as a nonprofit, that's really what guides everything that we do. Our mission is to support and enhance FISD by providing innovative and engaging learning opportunities for our kids. But what does that mean? What does that mean
That's
exactly?
pretty good. I'm impressed that you spit it all out there. Well, and I'm going to stop you right there because I'm going to say something that you probably can't say. So part of the Education Foundation that makes it so different is that this is money in our classrooms that our teachers are requesting specific things for that they wouldn't otherwise get. So I'm going to give a little back history of that.
Yep.
So our district, the former principal in me says that and don't quote me on these numbers, y'all, because I'm just giving you roundabout figures. But we are a district that surprisingly is a very, very poor school district from what it gets from a state and federal level. And what I mean by that is education funding is done on a per child basis, and it's done based on the needs of students. So if you're a low socioeconomic student, if you're an English as a second language student, all of those services are given to, basically weight given to a school district for funding. So there's a little bit of, in Friendswood, we're gonna say every student gets about $40 a day because we don't have any low socio, less than 3% of our school district. There's a good gauge on that is we only have 2 pre-K classes in all of Friendswood ISD. So that money coming to the school district is very limited. So you really have only 2 other options of getting money into your school district. Bonds, which pay for building maintenance, which pay for capital gains, like capital projects, updates to theaters, updates to schools. But it doesn't necessarily have enough money to put equipment like iPads and interactive boards and stuff like that into teachers' classrooms, which is really, as the parent, I mean, the beauty of the building aesthetic is important to me, and the safety of the buildings is important to me. But what my kid has access to in the classroom is everything. And this is the foundation really is what sets apart Friendswood ISD from our surrounding districts. And they provide so much money directly to our classrooms. Did I summarize that pretty well?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the background of why the foundation is so important and such a huge piece. So now let's go into what you were saying. What does that look like?
Right. So like I said, our mission is to support and enhance FISD, but what does that mean? So by support FISD, what we mean is looking at the really awesome things that our teachers are already doing and evaluating how can we as a foundation further those and make those the best that they can be. And then by enhance FISD, this is my favorite part.
Okay.
This is where we're looking at how do we bring in disruptive innovation? How do we transform learning in an entire lesson, an entire unit, or even an entire classroom?
I love that term.
Yeah.
Can you, for those people that aren't familiar, that don't speak education as fluently as you are, can you tell me what that looks like?
Yeah, well, we're going to get to talk about an example of it a little bit later, but by disruptive innovation, we mean completely shaking up the way things are taught and bringing learning to life for our students in a whole new way that's authentic and engaging. It's something they can get their hands on and get really excited about. So that's a little bit more about our mission and what we mean by that. And when we talk about the innovative tools and resources, it's things that our students would not have access to otherwise without the foundation. And exactly like you said, it's what sets learning in Friendswood ISD apart from learning in any other school district in our area.
It is real, and that's exactly it. It is what I always say this. Friendswood High School in particular. Friendswood High School in particular is as close as you can get to a private high school that is available out there, because the programs and the things that are offered to our students are so out of the box. And the former principal in me at low socioeconomic schools, your state funding does not allow for that type of innovation. It is very, very particular in what money can be spent on and how that looks. And so give me some examples of how the foundation, give me some specific examples of things that y'all have either funded or things that you're looking to fund or things that you know that are out there.
Right. So the primary way that we are able to fund these resources is through our Adopt a Grant campaign. And so like you said, this is where teachers are dreaming up these innovative tools and resources. So at the elementary level, it might be math manipulatives or literacy resources that are teaching students how to read in a whole new way. At the high school level, there's a really cool program called Incubator EDU that's giving kids the opportunity to learn about entrepreneurship and partner with community mentors. Both of these are grant funded and they touch kindergartners all the way up to seniors in high school. So teachers dream those up all on their own, truly inspired by their students, we believe.
And their strengths. So a lot of times, like I've seen teachers write grants for creative seating for kids at the elementary level. That's a huge thing. I don't sit and learn. I don't sit and do anything, if I'm being honest. And so recognizing teachers, recognizing that in kids and then applying for grants to make it a reality, that's the basis for what this foundation is doing.
So that's how it starts. And then all of those grants go online, and the community has an opportunity to almost go online shopping.
I love
Browse through all the grants. Some may choose to pick one for their student's teacher, or they may have a program that they're particularly passionate about or aligns with their business, and they can fund that exact grant that's going to that exact teacher's classroom, and they have ownership over bringing that to life. Then typically in the spring, we also have our gala. You mentioned that event, and we invite all of our guests to purchase grants that are still available. We always have a beautiful display. Last year it was designed by our high school students in the art class, which is awesome. And then heading into spring break, we shut down that Adopt a Grant campaign, and the foundation grant committee comes in, and we use all the funds that we've raised throughout the year to pick up as many as possible that align with our mission. That's kind of the life cycle of the Adopt a Grant campaign and how we bring those things to life.
And so people, not just, not just people that are living in Friendswood. That I mean,
Right.
that's all. But I mean, if you live in Friendswood and you work outside of Friendswood and your company does, I know there's a lot of matching programs. Hey, if you do something, we'll match that. That's another way that the Education Foundation really benefits, both from corporate sponsors,
Right.
sponsors and individual sponsors.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you doing? This year's been so weird, if I'm being honest, this week. So everything that y'all do revolves almost around an event. I mean, so what are some things what are some changes you've had to do this year?
Right. Well, our biggest events of the year are our new employee luncheon, which we just held at 4 locations, socially distanced across the community, but still just felt it was so important to invite the community to welcome all the new faces to the Mustang family and show them what's so special about Friendswood and our school district. So new employee luncheon is a fun one. I know you and the store have been involved in that with door prizes and lots of fun stuff. And then in the fall, we have our Sporting Clays tournament, which we actually just wrapped up, a record-breaking year, doubled our teams from last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So
when should people be looking out for that?
So that's typically held in October.
Okay,
just wrapped up.
okay.
Yep, beginning of October. So if you're interested in that, definitely be on the lookout for it next year.
Okay.
And then our large event is our annual gala, which this year was our 20th anniversary gala.
Okay.
So it was extra special.
Absolutely.
Lots of founding directors and former directors got to come be a part of that event and really just celebrate where we've been and cast vision for where we're going as a foundation. We have so much rich history to build on, but only continuing to go forward because of that. So it was a special night. We held our first paddle raise, which we had never done that before. We were a little nervous. That's where people just raise their paddle, give a straight gift to the Adopt a Grant campaign. So
I love that.
Straight to the Y. We set a goal of raising $20,000 and raised almost $40,000.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's really great. Yeah, that's very, very good.
Testament to our community and just the generous investment and heart for our students and teachers.
Absolutely. Sure. So we have a cool thing that happens in our community. Like, campaigns are started with, and I don't know. I'm a hashtag lover, and I know that I'm probably in the front end of leading some of the campaigns and that. But did it start with the Education Foundation, the We Are Mighty?
It did, actually.
So can you give me a little bit of history? Because that's come a long way since when it came up, because we have had a lot of things happen in our small community. So talk to me about that hashtag.
So COVID hit, and our board of directors, which is led by a group of 33 very creative, passionate, talented community leaders that love and believe in our school district, that group did not want to just sit around and wait to be asked to help. They wanted to step up. So we called Mr. Rohr and said, how can we as a foundation support our district during this time? And the first thing he said was, I need the foundation to help maintain connections and relationships between our community and our school district. And out of that, We Are Mighty was born. And as you said, quickly kind of became an anthem of hope across the community, much like Friendswood Strong during Harvey, and just gave everyone something to rally around and remember in these moments of being disconnected and socially distanced and just feeling isolated, that there's so much power in community and finding new ways to come together and support each other. So that is what We Are Mighty was all about. From that, the foundation coordinated a couple of different events and campaigns. We did a Health Hero card drive where community members and students and teachers got to do handwritten notes and homemade cards. We collected over 840 of those that we distributed to local hospitals and got to bless our healthcare workers in the area. So that was a lot of fun. After that, you mentioned the kind of seeing the logo out and around town. We're getting a lot of asks about merchandise with the official FEF We Are Mighty logo. So we started selling masks, gaiters, t-shirts, yard signs, you name it. And we have raised over $25,000 just from t-shirts and masks and gaiters. And I think that really represents We Are Mighty.
And the fact that it's going, I know there's thousands of nonprofits in our area, but this one in particular, y'all, if you are interested and you have things to say about why don't our teachers have this in our classroom and why don't they have this in our classroom, again, remember, we're going back to that. Our kids get $40 a day. Our teachers cost almost 80% of that. If I'm telling you 80% of that is about your teacher salaries. So that's the amount that we get. Everything else we are reliant upon the Education Foundation, and other donations like that, because those are huge numbers. If we actually want to see things in our classrooms and programs, that comes from these grants, y'all, and our teachers are doing that. And the Education Foundation is the leader of that. But more importantly, y'all are a leader in our community, because just like you said, through Harvey, when we had what was the hashtag on that one?
Friendswood Strong.
Friendswood Strong. This We Are Mighty thing is exactly what we mean by when we bleed blue. I am not a Friendswood native. I say that all the time. I'm not a Friendswood native. But when you get here, it is, and you understand what this community is about and how it can be strong together and the things that it can accomplish and the amount of money it can raise for our teachers, it's astronomical. And it is absolutely what sets us apart from our surrounding districts for sure. So what do you see going forward? Like, what are your goals? I know you had some interesting, I'd like you to tell them a little bit of your personal goals, and some of the goals going into there, so that they know, what to expect out of you. And I've got high expectations. I'm excited for your energy. I'm excited for what you bring and kind of a new outlook that you're bringing and some just understanding of what it was like to grow up here and the needs of our district.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to share kind of where we're headed by sharing a little bit about some of the highlights of where we've been this year, because that momentum is what's going to carry us forward. So about a year ago, the foundation received our first legacy gift from a woman named Carla Stinson in our community, and it was a $200,000 planned estate gift to fund a rocketry program in FISD. Again, a program that does not exist. We're right next to NASA and all of the contractors in our area. A great opportunity for our kids. Ms. Stinson actually passed away about a month after making that pledge. Oh, wow. But now we're getting to partner with her family in bringing that legacy to life and continuing her heart and who she is. So that is huge.
That's huge, so huge, because if I'm being honest, there's kids across the nation that are trying to get into A&M engineering program, and they've got to have programs like that to set them apart. They have to, because they're coming in so equipped that our kids, like you said, we're right next to NASA. That's a really cool program. And so that's your first legacy.
First one. Okay. And part of Miss Stinson's heart was to inspire others to start thinking about that. It's kind of an awkward topic and not something that people like to think about or talk about, but just to inspire that next investment in the generations of Friendswood.
That's cool.
So that's one direction that we're headed. Another cool opportunity that we had this year was we completely rebranded our Mustang Association campaign. And long story short, this was a flyer that went home with kids, inviting them, or really their parents, to donate $5 to participate in the foundation. And what we wanted to do was, let's really expand that second part. Let's invite kids an opportunity to participate. And so what we did is we set up student grant committees. And so each campus had a group of students that signed up to meet with our directors one afternoon, learn about nonprofits and philanthropy, and talk about the challenges of strategic giving. So they had the funds that were raised through that campaign on their campus, and they got to select actual grants for instructional resources that their teachers had written on their campus. They had to wrestle with the same things that our directors go through each year at our grant committee meeting, trying to find out which grants are going to be the most impactful. And they discovered, similar to our directors, that it's not usually a decision between right and wrong. It's a decision between right and right.
Absolutely.
So that was really cool, and led to the foundation receiving the Texas Education Foundation Network's Outstanding Achievement Award earlier this year, which also included a $2,000 grant to the foundation.
And that was from that was, y'all were recognized for being innovative and including
the students in the process.
That is a huge. Our superintendent Thad Ward, that is one of his, for sure, front pushes on his agenda, is to ask the people that are involved, ask the customers. I mean, the business person, the person in me, the former educator in me said, if it's logical or practical, we don't always like to do it in education, but that really is the exception to that rule.
Absolutely.
He comes around and he really treats it more like a business. These are his customers, and he's here to serve the students as well as the parents, and wants to do that by actually asking for meaningful input.
Absolutely.
from them. So that's a cool thing. That's a really neat thing.
Well, my favorite thing about it is, you know, as a foundation, our primary goal is fundraising, right, for the school district. But this was an opportunity for us to live out our mission in a whole new way and expose our students to some conversations and principles that they might not be getting in their normal curriculum.
Real life conversations. I don't know how many times I've said I was highly educated and couldn't have walked into a meeting and led it to save my life because I was like, I don't know, I've never led a meeting before.
Exactly.
And so yes, giving our kids real live opportunities and opportunities to have input into things that they can see through because of course it gets more buy-in. We have that with kids all the time. If they're involved and then their other friends also see, it's kind of it's a rippling effect. It's a across the district.
Right. Exactly. Well, and then finally, our biggest highlight of the year, and I would say the greatest direction that we're headed, a big dream that came, let's start that sentence over.
That's okay.
So probably one of the most exciting things that rounded out this year was a big dream that came to life for one of our teachers in Friendswood ISD. About a year ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with FHS health science teacher Carla Burris for the first time, and we quickly bonded over some shared passions. And on the way out the door, actually, I stopped and asked her, Carla, if money were no object, what would be your big dream for your students? And just like that, without hesitation, she said, I want a simulated ambulance for our EMT certification program that we're kicking off next year. And after a year of collaborating together, creating a proposal and pitching it with the UTMB President's Cabinet Award, we received a $50,000 grant just a couple weeks ago to fund that simulated ambulance.
And this gets onto a whole nother topic about Friendswood ISD. One of the things that we've been criticized for is catering to the top 10% and for the kid that was college bound and catering when there are so many opportunities, y'all, so many opportunities for kids to have careers coming out of high school and make a lot of money. I mean, make good money or make good money for a couple years while they're continuing on to do something else. And that EMT program is one of them.
Absolutely.
That sets our kids apart from, again, from surrounding districts. And those are innovative programs that I can promise you are $40 from state funding do not cover. Our teachers will not get those things if you're not supporting the Education Foundation. And every school district has, if I'm being honest, you're the Friendswood one, but there's one in every, and y'all collaborate together. I have nothing. If you have questions, if you want to know who's in charge of your one in Pearland, let me know. I can get you that contact. If you want to know who's in Clear Creek, let me know. Or Alvin, all three of the surrounding ones. I'm not saying that they're one in every school district. Ours is a step above the rest because it's providing the bridge in funds that aren't there. So I know I'd asked you before this, just give me the number of how much y'all raised last year so that they know and what your projection for this year is.
Absolutely. So we funded over $234,000 through our normal Adopt a Grant campaign last year.
Yeah.
That's in addition to the $200,000 for the rocketry program and the $50,000 for the simulated ambulance. So a huge record-breaking year for the foundation. And this year we're kind of morphing our Adopt a Grant campaign and putting pause on it for this year. And we're really hitting the ground running with this We Are Mighty campaign. And what we've decided to call it is a We Are Mighty Marathon. We realized this school year is going to be a marathon, not a sprint.
For sure.
And so we've set a goal to start, to just get warmed up, if I had to say, to raise $100,000 for resources this year.
And I think that's fair. And I think that's not only do I think that's fair, but I also think that it shows the integrity of your nonprofit to say, hey, we acknowledge that our community is in crisis. Our small businesses had a deficit. We've got parents that are working from home. We've got people that have lost their jobs. We have all of these things. So for the front push to not be, oh, we want more money, money, to be collaboration, it is what builds strong programs for the future. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. Do you have any other thoughts that you have?
Biggest thing I would say is I'm just so proud of our district and our foundation for viewing this crisis as an opportunity and not a challenge, and just using it as a way to rise up and change the future of education, honestly, try some new things and shake things up. So I would just invite the community, if they want to be a part of that, to follow the foundation on Facebook, see what we're up to, and also support the We Are Mighty Marathon campaign this year.
We're going to connect all of those things on this podcast for you that you tell us. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with those people. But you are part of the innovation that's making changes here in our community, and I appreciate you coming on. And remember to live happier, because adulting is hard, and we'll see you next time. Bye.